Hello everybody and welcome along to the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. We're at Road Atlanta for Motul, Petit, Le Mans. Brazelton, Georgia is a track that's been around since 1970. Fantastic piece of racetrack design that follows the natural terrain of this area. 750 acres just outside of Brazelton, up the I-85 from downtown Atlanta. 12 corners, action areas at turn 1, turn 6 and 7 at the far end from where we are of the racetrack, and downhill into the heavy braking area at turn 10. Where the old compression used to be. Slightly tighter corner down there, slowing the cars around before they come up over the top of the rise. Next up, we're setting 3 pole positions. GT Daytona, GTLM, and the prototypes, and it's all live in sound and vision as IMSA Radio joins with IMSA TV globally. No blocks, no breaks, no interruptions, just the action, and it's all live here from Road Atlanta. It's John Hindhaugh and Jeremy Shaw in the IMSA Broadcast Centre overlooking the start-finish line here. Down towards turn 10, that natural amphitheatre building the atmosphere for tomorrow, the Saturday race, let's not forget. 10:30 green flag in the morning Eastern time. Make sure you set your alarms for that because you will want to miss absolutely nothing at all. Our Michelin countdown to green starting a wee bit before that. And we've got a morning warm-up as well live on IMSA Radio. We'll join with the TV, of course, for the action across the 10 hours of the finale of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship season. Last couple of days, Jeremy, we have been blessed with the weather. Hurricane Michael has done its worst in other parts of the United States, and clearly our thoughts with anyone who's been adversely affected by that. We have got off rather lightly here in Atlanta after all kinds of doom warnings that we were getting. Got a lot of rain overnight Wednesday into Thursday, but really other than that, rather got away with it. And what we've got now is a beautiful, classic early autumn, early fall, October weekend here for Petit Le Mans.
It really couldn't be much better, could it, right now? It is absolutely glorious here. It's always a wonderful setting here. Everything's nice and green, verdant. That means we've had rain. Yes, okay, we have had the rain, but it is perfect now. And boy, we've seen some very, very fast lap times all weekend long, particularly in this the final practice session a little bit earlier on this morning. What to expect for qualifying? Well, I don't know. It's absolutely wide open in all 3 classes. This is going to be fun.
The prototypes should be at the front of the field. And last night in nighttime qualifying, at one stage, I think we had 5 cars in under 3/4 of a tenth of a second. Not 3/4 of a second, 3/4 of a tenth. That's sort of the kind of race pace that we're expecting in GT Le Mans. Whole field separated by just on a second. And in GT Daytona that will go out first. Again, 14 cars here from a variety of manufacturers. Engines front, middle and rear. So the full panoply of engine positioning, well, that was just on a second as well for the whole field. Not between first and second, for the whole field. They'll go out first, and the 29 Monteplast by Lance Audi has topped the charts more than anyone else. Does that make them a shoo-in for pole position? I don't think so, does it, Jeremy?
Doesn't make them a shoo-in, so no, but it certainly makes them, we're definitely among the favourites because that car has been consistently quick. But hey, look, there's a whole bunch of other cars that have been pretty darn quick as well. That car has set the fastest time by a few tenths of a second, I think, in that final practice session. Sheldon van der Linde set that time, but second fastest in the most recent practice was the Acura of Alvaro Parent, Jack Hawksworth. He's always a contender for the pole. Not actually quite sure who's qualifying each of the cars yet. We've got some names up on the screen. Whether those are the correct ones, we're not 100% sure right now. But hey, look, this is going to be a fun session, as are the 2 that will follow.
Green flag is in the air, and this is the very last 15-minute qualifying session that Gold drivers will be allowed to qualify? Remember?
Other than silvers. Anybody other than silvers?
Yeah, it's got gold platinums. Yes, so it's got to be silvers or bronze next year, hasn't it? So the amateur rated drivers or non-working drivers, if you will take over qualifying duties in this category next year as IMSA strives to make it a more level playing field and to try in some way, shape or form to make the non-professional driver, the non-career driver actually is a better way of using it, of mentioning that, of referring to it, to make the non-career driver the most important part of the equation, driver times being increased as well as of next year. Let's get to Shea Adam, who can tell us who is going to do this final IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship qualifying in GT Daytona this year.
Well, in the two Lexuses, the last cars to roll off the pit lane, Dominic Baumann has the honors in the 14, which is the blue one, and it is Jack Coxworth, the man who has been on for pole in the number 15 car, so that one is the red one. In the Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini, hometown hero Brian Sellers has taken out the all-black car as he goes for his second pole position on the year. It is Alvaro Parent in the 86 Acura, the one that has the throwback livery for the Continental Tire. Thank you. And for the 93, Super Mario Farnbacher in that car. Ben Keating drives his number 33 Riley Mercedes, and in the two Ferraris, the two Scuderia course cars, Matteo Cressoni, who put the 63 on pole last year, is driving the 64, and Daniel Serra has been given the duties in the 63.
Thank you, Shea. We'll get through anyone's. When we said hometown hero, by the way, for Brian Sellers, he can pretty much walk to work from where he lives here, very close to the racetrack. What do you reckon then, Jeremy? Yeah,
it's going to be interesting. Daniel Serra, he's qualified on pole position twice this season, both at Daytona and Sebring in a Ferrari, so certainly don't count him out. Jack Hawksworth should be quick. Cheryl van der Linde, we just talked about in the Audi car number 29. Brian Sellers, local hero here, as you say, but Mario Farnbacher even in the Acura, and Alvaro Parent. Oh, it's wide open. It really is. I'm not sure who would be my favourite at this stage.
Perfect conditions, 14 cars on a 2.5 mile circuit. Pat Long still in the pit lane, or at least the right Porsche still in the pit lane.
Still having a hard time getting used to the look of this Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini. We've been so used to that, I think, really attractive colours.
The red, silver and black.
Yeah, I love it.
Very good.
There is a livery with which the same livery with which that team won this race 4 years ago, so they reckon it's lucky for them. Let's hope it is, because they come into this championship finale with a nice little lead in the points, but it certainly you wouldn't call it comfortable.
No. I like what Brian Sellers said to Shea Adam earlier in the week here on the IMSA radio broadcast. He said, I keep sitting on the pit box and waiting for the car to go by and thinking, oh my goodness, the car hasn't gone through on the time screen. I didn't say goodbye. I'll watch it. I must have missed it. Watch it next time. Oh, I'm looking for the wrong colours. So Paul Miller Racing immediately to the top of the times. Brian Sellers in that Lamborghini Huracan GT3, a 1:21.408. First of the representative time. Lap record pace, Jeremy, is what for GT Daytona?
GT Daytona, it was set last year by Matteo Cressoni, as Shea Adam said, it was 1:20.661. We saw times well down into the middle 19s in practice earlier on today, so I would certainly expect that record to take a beating.
These Continental tyres, who we bid farewell to at the end of this IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship season, take a couple of 3 laps to come in.
Well, the second flying lap there for Brian Sellers, a 1:20.364, so bang goes the record right away.
And it's gone again as Daniel Serra in the 63 WeatherTech Mercedes, 63 WeatherTech Ferrari. It has been Mercedes down through the years, and in fact we had them swapping cars in the middle of the season with that, and in fact Cooper McNeil was refused to be drawn on what car they'd be using next year when we spoke to him earlier on in the weekend.
Yeah, he's driven most of the GT3 cars that are available at one stage or another. Jack Hawksworth, by the way, has just got purple in Sector 1, not quite in Sector 2, fractionally down on Daniel Serra, but this is a good lap by the number 15 Lexus, comes across the line now. Goes to the top. 119.898 for Jack Hawksworth, the Yorkshireman in car number 15, ahead of Daniel Serra by, well, not even a half a tenth of a second. And the number 63 Ferrari, the Acura is third. Mario Farnbach and Brian Sellers remains in fourth position in that number 48 Lamborghini.
Sorry, Jeremy. Only 13 cars have been out, and that will remain the total. As Shea Adam will explain in this Continental Tire Pit report.
Well, there's not a whole heck of a lot to be gained by starting first when you can start 14th and have another set of brand new Continental tires for the race. And the minds on the right motorsport pit box are smart.
Right, okay.
Okay, well, Daniel Serra has gone back to the top with a 119.695 and number 63 Ferrari. He's completed in 3 races this season. Also drove at Watkins Glen. Didn't get to the qualifying duties there, but the former champion and current leader of the Brazilian Stock Car Championship did qualify at Daytona Sebring, as I said, and qualified on the pole with a record each time. So he's looking to keep that streak alive.
Just coming down to about halfway through the 15 minutes, 30 seconds away from half time, if you will. Moving up last time around, Jack Hawksworth just gets ahead of Sheldon van der Linde.
Yes, van der Linde went up into second place, but Jack Hawksworth was lost just a fraction of time in the final sector compared to Daniel Serra. So 0.037 between Serra, who leads in number 63 Ferrari, from the Lexus car number 15 Jack Hawksworth.
Can't miss the number 71 Mercedes, rather distinctive colour scheme for the PI Motorsports machine.
Problem for Rebecca.
33 car. It's going a bit wide in front of us. I just thought, Jeremy, on this interesting, and Ben Keating is pulling off, I'm hearing. Shea Adam.
He's directly across in the support pit exit.
Yep.
He has pulled off the safety workers and is backing into the support pit lane. So something wrong with this car, and Ben is trying to get it out of danger.
Yeah, nicely done, Ben. That's very considerate to his other drivers, in the category. If he calls the red flag, he goes to the back to take the times away. But as we were saying with the 58, that's not the worst thing. 14 cars in a 10-hour race. Just a quick word on that number 71 Mercedes, the PI Motorsports car. Interesting colour scheme on that. You'd not miss that even on a dark night, and we'll have a dark night tomorrow. Good to see them on the grid.
So Sheldon van der Linde did improve last time around. We've now got 3 cars within a half a tenth of a second. So Jack Hawksworth has already brought that Lexus onto pit lane, 0.037. He trails Daniel Serra, and he is into the pits. I don't think he'll be going back out again with 6.5 minutes remaining. It's a doubt he will.
Brian Sellers also in the pits in the championship, leading number 48. He'll want to keep as much life in those Continental tyres for the start of the race. 5th position. Outside of the, inside of the 3rd row, not the worst place to start.
No, and directly ahead of his primary championship rival, the number 86 car with Alvaro Parente taking the qualifying duties this weekend.
Yeah, well, they'll be side by side, won't they, if they kids the grid. Nothing changes, so got to be careful. Madison Snow was on the Midweek Motorsport show, which we had live from here at Road Atlanta on Wednesday afternoon local time. It's a question that I asked him. It's available for download, by the way, on the archive at radiolemon.com. I said to him, you've got to be careful, haven't you, not to just focus in on what the 86 is doing. Run your own race. I've seen people before become, in some ways, too focused, lose sight of what's going on in the race around them. Van der Linde in the green, the multicolored green, Monteplas by Lance Motorsport car.
Another good lap here, by the way.
He's on a very good lap. Lance, a long-time Audi customer team. They've got a great relationship with Audi Customer Racing, Audi Sport Customer Racing.
won this race last year.
Guaranteed time, by the way, to make this a session has been achieved. Winners here last year, as Jeremy rightly said. New version of this car coming out, the GT3 Audi R8 LMS, and it is actually on display here at Petit Le Mans, at Motul Petit Le Mans here at Road Atlanta. The upgrade kit.
It's really close.
This is going to be tight, isn't it, Jeremy? And Van der Linde goes across the line and moves up to...
No, it didn't quite improve. It was a 19.791 as opposed to 19.744, which was a couple of laps ago.
And that Audi, by the way, that upgrade kit's something under $30,000 or around $30,000 for the Evo upgrade kit for that car, which in the great scheme of things, with some bodywork upgrades, also some serviceability and cost-saving measures as well. The gearbox, for example, has had a redesign and now runs, I think, almost twice as long between rebuilds, and that's a really thoughtful Evo kit from Audi Sport Customer Racing, trying to bring the running costs down for their customer teams without sacrificing any performance. These cars all, of course, factory built by the manufacturers. Very limited amount of modifications that can be done from the teams. They're all homologated, which means you have a base specification that has to be kept to, and then it's down to the teams to set them up. No more in the Continental tyres and no more in Sheldon van der Linde. He comes into the pit lane and will be no better than third position. Top 7 now in the pit lane, still with 3 minutes to go. Dominic Baumann is still out there for Lexus. Tim Pappas for 73 Park Place Porsche.
JC Perez in the P1 Motorsports Mercedes car number 71 is still out.
Yeah, what's the story with P1? Are they going to come back and do a full season next year, Jeremy? What
Good
are you
question. Haven't had a chance to get down there, unfortunately.
John Potter.
A bit of a musical chairs.
Yes, indeed.
At that team, but yeah, when they've been here, they've done well. So yeah, that's a pretty good lap for JC Perez. He started his racing last season. He's within a couple of seconds of the pole time here, and we know how talented those drivers are at the front of the field.
2 minutes to go. Keeping our eye on Tim Pappas in that Park Place dark grey, light grey and red stripes on that car. The evocative colour scheme. Shea Adam can give us an update on the Ben Keating number 33 Riley Technology AMG GT3.
They've gotten a flatbed to bring Ben back to the paddock, so clearly a flat ticket would not suffice. And Ben is still behind the wheel of his Mercedes. He has not yet gotten out, but clearly something more damaging than the eye can see going on with this Mercedes. Third in the championship, coming into the Motul Petit Le Mans as well.
First glimpse that car just out of the corner of my eye, turn 12 here, way off line, and he sort of put the car back across the road. It was definitely smoking. Looked like from the, it was the left rear corner, so something was clearly broken on that car, but what or why or where, don't really know. But certainly he didn't hit anything. I'm sure it didn't.
JC Perez in what looks to be a decent pass through turn 5 and over the brow of the hill towards turn 6. Wonderful circuit. Road Atlanta. Real driver's track. Commitment, precision, and just the right amount of aggression required here. But this place can still bite you, Jeremy.
Yeah, you've got to put a lap together. That's exactly what Sheldon Van der Linde didn't quite manage to do, because he was purple in sectors 2 and 3, fastest of all, best by railway, and he was quicker than the pole sitter in sector 1 by 0.006. So
but not all on the same lap.
There you go. There you go.
So 30, 49, 49 bits, 68 carried 1. I reckon there was a very low 19 there.
It was 19.5 or thereabouts, yeah.
For Sheldon van der Linde, and couldn't put that together. That would have given him pole position.
Absolutely. By a couple of tenths.
Ferrari on provisional pole at the moment by 0.037 as the checkered flag comes out. Should have only been a Lancia with that number. 0.49 back to Sheldon van der Linde. So the top three separated here by less than half a tenth, Jeremy, just underlining what a great job the BOP is doing. These cars are built to a specification, GT3. And now 73 with Tim Pappas in the car on the second to last lap, coming down the hill at the S's, clobbering the leading edge of the curb with the right front Continental. That will not have done the suspension any good at all. Turned in quite a bit early and dropped the right hand side Continentals onto the dirt, and then when the curb appeared, he didn't ride from the edge of the curb and over it, he actually hit the leading edge of the curb, Jeremy, and that would have been bone jarring inside the car, and it won't have done that right front suspension any good at all.
No, it won't. That was a pretty big moment there. The car was way up in the air, right up on two wheels pretty much, and maybe even completely in the air, actually, yes.
Air Pappas, are we talking there?
But look, we've got, it's Ferrari, Lexus, Audi, Acura, Lamborghini, the top five. And then we've got the second Acura, another Ferrari.
Oh, problem for the Acura driver, Mario Farnbacher. He's got out of his car. He has got back in now, but you're not allowed to get out of the car at all until the car has been declared able to go back to the paddock. We'll see whether that attracts a penalty. That car's sitting in fourth position, and I can see, because we can see the pit lane, Johnny Knott's our chief pit lane official. By the way, thanks to all of our officials this year. Those of you that wear the IMSA uniform, or those at the circuit who come in race by race, thank you very much indeed for all your hard work. Johnny Knott's our chief pit lane official. He's already over at the Acura number 93. It's the one in the thank you to Continental tyre colours. No, sorry, that's the pink car, isn't it? The 93 car. Yeah, wheels and tyres going on and off that car as well. They are allowed to put the transport tyres on because they're going back to the pit lane. And 63 then, Daniel Serra heading down towards the end of the pit lane. He has pulled up, the cameras are there, the plaudits await, as does our Continental Tire pit lane reporter Shea Adam for our first pole sitter of the 2018 Motul Petit Le Mans. Congratulations to the number 63 Ferrari team and to Daniel Serra.
And the first person down to congratulate him is co-driver Gunnar Jeanette, was here to help him get out of the car. They're practicing effectively a pit stop driver change without putting a new driver into the car. But for Daniel Serra, a very impressive record, because this is the second time he's qualified the car, third time he's qualified a Ferrari this year, and the third pole position that he has managed to attain. So Daniel with a big smile on his face. Now Cooper's here as well to congratulate him. I'll hand him over the hat. It says Alessandro Balzan on your fire suit. Were you channeling him? Were you pretending to be him to drive and get that pole position?
It will be good. It's a good comparison, but it's a really fast driver. I'm happy to be back with Scuderia Corsa, and here, one of the best tracks. I really like this track, especially on a qualifying lap. So yeah, just say thank you for the team. The car was perfect again.
Your third pole position on the year. Might we see you in this series more in the future? It seems to work well for you.
Yeah, I would like to. Let's see for next year. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see. I would like to be here more often.
Congrats on the pole, Daniel.
Thank you very much.
Scuderia Corsa then taking the first of three pole positions. We'll set this afternoon for Daniel Serra, the Brazilian, sharing with two Americans, Gunnar Jeanette and Cooper McNeil in that WeatherTech sponsored car. Ferrari at times has been very good indeed. They've worked their way through the circuits that they know they're going to be good at. And over the longer run, Jeremy, one lap means nothing here, but over the longer run, the Ferrari has in the past been a decent weapon.
Yeah, very much so. I think I completely agree with you there. I think there's been there's only been one Ferrari for most of the season, and the results have been good. They haven't been fantastic, but they've certainly been good, and the Ferrari is generally pretty fleet. And Cooper McNeil currently stands 4th in the points table. He's the only constant in that number 63 car this season. He has had a bunch of different co-drivers, but the car is fast, and certainly it's fast enough today to get the pole position. And with the driver lineup they have on that car for this race tomorrow, with Gunnar Jeanette and Daniel Serra and Cooper McNeil, they've got plenty of experience in these cars. Daniel Serra, curiously, actually hasn't yet got a win to his name. His best finish so far is a second in IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship competition. That was actually a GTLM car a couple of years ago, so he would like very much to put a win on his resume. So,
Serra, Ferrari from Hawksworth, Lexus. That'll be the first row of GT Daytona. Von der Linde in Audi on the inside of row 2. Then Mario Farnbacher, if that time stands. Then Sellers and Parenti, the two championship protagonist cars, together on row 3. Next up, it's more GTs, but this time GT Le Mans. Let's check in with Nick Damon, who's wandering down the pit lane at the moment for us.
This is a weird way of doing things, isn't it? Can't touch anybody, drive the cars away. Just bumped into someone who's at the back, Marcel Fazza. Marcel, so you're qualifying both cars then?
No, this I don't. No, that's Antonio and Tommy doing that, and yeah, it's good for me to look it from outside.
How are you enjoying driving both cars? Is it coming naturally yet?
Yeah, actually, they feel quite similar. It's not a big change, and yeah, I'm quite. That's a big honor for me also to get the trust from Corvette Racing that I can drive both cars. I know that's not a normal thing, and yeah, apart from the seat position, everything feels quite similar. I'm a bit in the free car, the steering wheel is quite close because Jan and Antonio are a little bit smaller than I am. Yeah, that's the only big difference actually what I have, but it feels everything good. I could test the number 3 car beforehand once, so I get comfortable in it, and it feels for me quite natural.
Thanks, Marcel. But first, finally, obviously you've been in the team briefings. Are Corvette desperate to get pole, or is it just another session to get through?
No, we are here for racing, and we like to race hard. And I know both of them, Antonio as well, Tommy, and they try to get the pole. But yeah, the competition is so high in this GTA LM class that it's definitely not easy. You have to have a clear lap, you have to have a lap without any mistakes, and you have to push 100% to get that. For sure, pole position will not decide the race in the end, but it's always a nice thing if you know that you have a fast car.
Marcel, thank you very much. Now, Marcel's given away who's the starting drivers or the qualifying drivers of Corvette. Shay, who's qualifying all the rest of the cars in GTLM?
Yeah, Antonio Garcia and Tommy Milner both strapped into the 3 and 4 Corvettes. Thanks for the tip there, Marcel. Unfortunately, they were the first 2 cars I saw, so I had those names written down. It is Richard Westbrook, the only guy to have repeated a pole position in the 2018 season. So Westy is going out in the 67, and it is Joey Hand in the number 66 Ford who will be trying to take away the honors from his teammate. In the 2 Porsches, Earl Bamber is going out in the number 912, and Patrick Pile getting a bit more seat time. The overall winner in 2015 is taking the honors for the 911. Connor DeFilippi will be qualifying the number 25 BMW. He got a pole position earlier on in the year at Sebring, looking to join Westy in the 2-time list. And John Edwards, who got a pole position at Mid-Ohio, trying to do the same thing in the number 24 BMW, the black one. In the Risi Competizione Ferrari, coming back to the series this weekend, it is Tony Vilander, the man who put the car on pole 12 months ago. Can he do it again? Well, time will tell.
Thank you, Shay. Just had a fax from the FIA World Motorsport Council, which is nice of them to let me know what next year's Formula 1 dates are. I'll have to check them to see if I'm available, obviously. So it was nice.
Dust the helmet off again.
Yeah, well, see what I can do. Young man's game now, apparently. We've got a green flag The 15 minutes has started, so stand by for action.
And I'm not quite sure who will really want to get pole position today, because we've had 9 races already this season, and not yet do we have a repeat, anybody who's gone on from the pole to win the race. Sorry, we've had 10 races already this season. There's 11 races in the GTLM Championship this year, and not yet do we have anybody who's gone on to win from the pole. So, yeah, it's kind of not perhaps an enviable streak.
Sure.
Shows how competitive it is. I mean, and in the practice sessions, it has been just crazy tight. But the Corvettes were first and second on their qualifying simulations in the earlier practice session today. BMW was third fastest. That was John Edwards at wheel car number 24, and all 3 of those cars turned a lap at 1 minute 17.3 something. The lap record around here is a 1:17.660, as Shay intimated there, was Tony Vielander, who qualified on the pole position 1 year ago in the Risi Ferrari. There was the car.
Right, Reds, Giuseppe Risi here this weekend with the team, and let's hope we see this car again. It's been a great addition, and every single driver from whatever other manufacturer in there, whether it was any of the major manufacturers, the other 4 have all said how great it is to have the Ferrari back. There's something about Ferrari as a racing mark, isn't there, that stirs the interest of any racing driver, and great to have an extra car. Like to see a few more in GT Le Mans. Aston Martin have their new Advantage GT Le Mans car getting ready for next season.
It's the only car that's yet ventured out, curiously.
Yeah. Well, it'll sit on top of the times for a little while at least, won't they? And, well, we've already got 1 Ferrari pole this weekend. We can't have 3 because there's no Ferrari prototype. There's no Ferrari prototype entry yet. See if that starts a rumour or 2. Actually, we very nearly had a Ferrari LMP2 car a few years ago, had it not been for the fact that the 488 was replacing the, or was it when the 458 replaced the 360 actually? When the 458 replaced the 360, there wasn't enough, deemed not to be enough capacity to produce the engines for 2 programs at the same time, and the 458 was exceptionally profitable and popular as a customer race car, as the 488 has been in its various guises as well. But I know at least of one very influential Ferrari customer team who had drawn up the plans for an LMP2 with a Ferrari engine. Unfortunately, it wasn't able to be brought up. The wastegate just chattering away as it goes through. That's the spectators in the amphitheatre. It's a very different noise for the Ferrari now than it used to be. Still a V8, but not the screamer that it used to be. A flatter noise with the turbochargers. Take a little bit of noise damping, but I do love to hear that whistle and chatter of the wastegate. Reminds me of standing in freezing cold forests in the northeast of England. Nothing to do with motor racing, it just reminds me of that. No, actually listening to Group B rally cars go by, there's a little bit of that as they whistle with the turbocharged wastegate, and it looks like we've got another taker for the track, Shay.
The 25 BMW driven by Connor Di Filippi has gone out. The 3 Corvette by Antonio Garcia. And Tommy Milner almost didn't wait for Hollywood, his crew chief, to move out of the way before he got out of his pit box, well ahead of Patrick Pile in the number 911 Porsche. So that means we have both Fords, 1 BMW and 1 Porsche left on the pit lane.
We're going to tell the Porsches apart, by the way, in that Mobile 1 throwback livery, celebration livery, going back to 1998, the first Petit Le Mans. Also a Le Mans winning livery from that year. The 911 has the fluorescent orange stroke red spots on the nose of that car, and the 912 has the lime coloured ones on the front of the car. Through goes Tony Vielander, 1:18.107. It's not going to be quick enough, I don't think.
It's a couple of tenths away from his best lap of the weekend. Earlier on today.
He's hanging it out over the top of 2 and 3 though. Took plenty of curbs, staying off the curbs in the middle of the S's, which you have to do. So here comes the Corvette for its first lap. Now, distinctively different here, these GT cars, and I'm actually surprised that people haven't gone out a little bit earlier. The Michelin tyres that all of the competitors, this is an open tyre class. You can use any manufacturer that you want, unlike the GT, Daytona and the prototype classes, which both are mandated to use Continental tyres. But everyone chooses Michelin in this category. There is no competition, but that isn't by mandate, it's by choice. And these Michelin tyres take a wee while to come up to temperature and pressure, and as the fuel burns down, we've quite often, Jeremy, seen a last man out gets pole kind of scenario this year. It's been actually one of the more I think involving parts of qualifying to see these cars out mostly for the whole 15 minutes, but we've not seen that today, oddly.
No, we haven't, and the Corvettes are out on track now. I think the only car, have they all gone out now? I think maybe they haven't. They're all out on track at the moment. And this is it's a bit of cat and mouse in there. They don't want to show their hand too early, perhaps, but we're already getting on for halfway through this 15-minute session. 8.5 minutes remaining, so 6.5 minutes gone.
Well, I said it many years ago, and it was immortalised in the first trophy in 24. When a Corvette goes by, you know it's a Corvette.
Yeah.
There is nothing like it out there, and for the moment at least, that remains with the big pushrod V8 engine. That'll all change with the mid-engine car, of course, and the twin turbochargers.
GTD class, we saw Wright Motorsports elected not to go out, not to bother about qualifying and start from the back with a fresh set of tyres. The GTLM, this pole position is going to be pretty hard fought, I think, because the class is so competitive. You cannot afford to give away anything to the opposition. So if you can start up front, then it's a very, very good place to be. They've got to then make the moves on you, and it's not easy to make passes around here. And with the teams as professional as they are, the drivers as good as they are, as evenly matched as they are, it would behoove anybody to be qualifying out the front and starting from the pole position.
BMW are on a bit of a tear at the moment. They've won the last two races, and Conor De Filippi second at the moment in the 25 car. Looks like he's putting a really good lap together. A little bit of a slide coming out of 10B. Drops down the hill past us now. And the M Sport coloured BMW does indeed go to the top of the times with a 1:17.428. That's nearly 4/10 of a second quicker than the best that Tony Verlander has done so far in the Ferrari.
Yeah, it's nearly half a second faster than he managed in the earlier practice session as well, Conor. He did a 17.9. That was his best lap of the weekend in the earlier practice session today. Good marker to lay down at 17.40. It's going to be good enough, but it is already sub-lap record by 2/10 of a second. He's currently got nearly 4/10 over Tony Verlander.
Piles had a busy few weeks actually. The car with which he and his teammate here this weekend, Nick Tandy, won overall here at Petit Le Mans in 2015, back in the States for the first time, and fired up again for the first time since they won it. It was at Rennsport. Patrick was allowed to buy that car.
Garcia's on the good lap.
Pele all over the exit curve on 7, bouncing around, doing a bit of rally crossing.
We're losing time out there.
I think so, Jeremy. I think so. Doesn't that 911 look absolutely fabulous?
17.030 for Antonio Garcia.
It's going to be a 16 something, isn't it, for Paul? It has to be. There's no way 17's quick enough.
It's better by more than 6/10 of a second inside of that road of John Edwards. 17.006 in the number 24 BMW.
The Porsche screams by to start another lap. That distinctive noise. Flat 6, yes, but not sounding like any other Porsche racing or street. Down to the fact that there's actually no baffles in the exhaust. They took out all of those. And it was allowed, and the other manufacturers saw the data from the ACO, from the FIA, and from everyone else, just to allow the Porsche to get a little bit more torque and power. The flat six unturbocharged doesn't make quite the power of the newer turbocharged cars. That happened a couple of seasons ago at Le Mans, and it's created that awesome noise for the Porsche.
That last lap by John Edwards, that was the third sector that was a crucial sector for him. He was super fast through there, had a tenth of a second on everybody else through that final sector. He's gone quicker in the first sector than he did last time around, but now Patrick Pilet is on the good lap as well. He's gone purple in sector 1, not quite as quick though in sector 2 compared to the others. At number 9-11, Porsche currently in 7th place.
Love it. Absolutely love it. It's so competitive at the head of the field. Still haven't had a 16 with 4 minutes to go. That means we have reached the time required to make this a session that will stand for the grid.
Patrick Pilet to 3rd place in number 9-11 Porsche, 117.3. Purple for Richard Westbrook in car number 67.
I know, it's
5th fastest.
Blue oval time, is it?
Yeah, maybe.
Westy in such a good mood. He's thoroughly enjoying his racing at the moment.
Super relaxed, isn't he?
Yeah, looking good. A few years ago, I remember speaking to him early to mid-2000s, imploring him to get out here and do some racing, and he was convinced, he wasn't convinced rather, like he might be thought of as a Porsche specialist for a while because he'd done so well in Carrera Cup and Super Cup. And then he came over here and he said, very kindly said on Midweek Motorsport, basically it was like having the skills removed from his eyes. Here he comes now.
Yeah, and Earl Bamber went up to 3rd place, but Richard Westbrook is going to jump, I think, all the way to the top.
No, he lost a bit in the final sector.
Yes, he lost a tenth, more than a tenth of a second in the final sector.
Don't you love, Jeremy, the different looks and sounds of GT Le Mans cars? There's no way, even if they were all painted white or black, there's no way you could confuse a Ford GT with a BMW M8 Coupe or a Corvette or a Porsche or a Ferrari. Just no way. Oh, Ford going off the circuit, I think, there for a moment. Is that Joey Hand going for a little wild ride? Was that indeed Richard Westbrook just going too wide at turn 5? It was Richard Westbrook going wide at turn 5, I think. Yeah, I think there's that lap's gone. 2 minutes 20 seconds to go. Conor De Filippi, BMW 25 in the pit lane. There'll be no more from the young American racer, so he'll be no better than 7th to start Motul Petit Le Mans on Saturday as far as the GT Le Mans class is concerned. We still haven't had a 16. Come on, guys, don't make a liar out of me.
17.006 for Edwards, 17.030 for Garcia. They come awfully close, haven't they?
Westbrook's
surprise for me, though, is Tommy Milner, who's so fast this morning.
Westbrook's in. I thought he might have one more go. Right.
That's it for him.
Garcia, maybe having one more go for Corvette as he rumbled through past us there. 24, John Edwards in as well in the black BMW M8. 3, 9, 12, 9, 11 and 66 and 62, plus the number 4 still out there. What can the 912 of Earl Bamber do? The Kiwi was at Bathurst for the 1000 last weekend. Came pretty much straight to the US from there. Straight to a dealer event on Tuesday evening. 1 minute to go. Also still out there, the rumbling Tommy Milner Corvette. Corvette is rumbling, not Tommy, obviously.
The whistling Ferrari of Tony Wielander. He improved, he's completed 10 laps, more than anybody else, and most anybody else has done is 7. 10th lap there for Tony Wielander, and it was his fastest. It's still at the tail end of the group there, the 117.7, about 3/4 of a second away, therefore, from John Edwards. But again, that Ferrari looking after its tyres, going faster and faster.
Here comes Milner, he'll get this one and one more. I don't think he's improving here, is he? No.
10th and a half or so away from his previous best.
He stayed out though, Germany, and he will get this lap. Wielander is on his last lap. He'll not get another one. 9-11 into the pit lane for Patrick Pilet.
Next car through will take the checkered flag. That is Pilet in the pit lane.
Checker is out. Vilander is off the throttle. He'll be taking the checker in the pit lane in the hand of Dennis Paul, our starter. And Garcia is...
Pretty good lap.
Well,
29.2 in the first sector.
It's
It's not
Bamba.
as
He'll
fast
get the
as,
checkered
but it's
flag.
certainly quick.
Bamba doesn't improve.
28.3 in
Just the
second
Corvettes
sector
left now.
So it's a good lap for Antonio Garcia, but it certainly isn't going to be better than his previous best.
Unless he finds a big shortcut.
Yes.
And he's in the pit lane. Corvette rumbling down the pit lane. 3 on the 4. That is the 3 that's in the pit lane. And the 4, Tommy Milner is having one more go. Checker is out. Can he improve from 8th position? Crosses the line. And the timing, she say no.
17.5 there, so...
I'm desperately disappointed, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Only 0.024 of a second between first and second, but nobody got into the 16s. 17.006 is a new qualifying lap record, isn't it, for GT Le Mans? And John Edwards joins Richard Westbrook as the only repeat pole sitter in GT Le Mans this year. Which, considering that's such a new car, it's quite a feat for the Rahal Letterman Lanigan concern and for BMW. All the cars carrying decals in memory of Dr. Don Panos this weekend, and rightfully so. I think it was a lovely touch that they were being handed out at the gate for all of us as we came in. I'm sure those of you here at the track have got them as well. So our second pole position has been set. It's BMW who will sit atop the pile of GT Le Mans and head the 9 cars to the start. The 912 of Earl Bamber will be the last car into the pit lane, and whilst he is making his way back into the lane, the 24 of John Edwards has made its way down to the penalty box, not because he's in trouble, but because he's got to get out and speak to Shea Adam.
Well, he is kind of in trouble. He's got to do an interview, but John knows what all this is about. His 4th pole position, as I'll be careful not to touch the car because we don't want to get it disqualified, because John would not be happy about that. But
Shea, just a quick note for you.
Yeah.
That average speed, 118.74399 miles an hour. 118, nearly 119 miles an hour.
Around here was 118 miles an hour, a new GTLM qualifying record, and your second pole position in here. So not bad in a day's work.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the cars are getting quicker and quicker every year. I mean, it wasn't long ago that GT cars were a big difference to prototypes, but now I think we're going quicker than the old prototypes used to, and a car that actually starts off the production line as a street car. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I just said on the radio, I know it's 10 hours. Qualifying doesn't really mean anything, but it still feels good.
And it does feel good because you out-qualified a lot of these other drivers that you beat in that 2015 race where you finished 2nd overall. You talked about it the other day. There's not a lot of appreciation for coming 2nd overall in a GTLM car, but there should be. You feeling a little bit dignified now? Maybe you got a little bit of that pride back getting a pole position here?
Yeah, well, as I said, there's 10 hours tomorrow, so we'll see. I mean, I finished 2nd here twice. And that's starting to get a little old. So definitely want to win this one. This is one of my favorite tracks. I have a lot of family here. My grandmother, I have a bunch of cousins that still live here. Both my parents grew up around here. So, you know, although it's not really a home race for me, it feels like it with all the people that are here. So it's one of my favorite tracks, and I really hope we can pull off the win tomorrow night.
But does pole mean something? Because it shows just how competitive you are and how you guys really have a true fighting chance.
It does. I mean, the important thing I think we already saw in practice was that we were in the window, and as I understand, it sounds like qualifying was really close. It was really close in practice. So we knew we were in the window, and we knew it was it didn't really matter if we qualified 1st or, you know, 4th or 5th, because the top 5 are all really tight. So it is good to know that we have pace, but as far as the couple hundredths, that's not going to make the difference in the win tomorrow. It's going to come down to who can execute the best.
Well, it is BMW, Porsche, Chevy, and Ford in the top 4, so you're going to have your hands full, but good luck tomorrow, John.
Thanks very much.
So BMW take pole position in GT Le Mans, adding to Ferrari's GT Daytona pole position. Next up, it's the prototypes. Let's get back down to Nick Damon, who's down there in the pit lane, as that Continental Tire pit lane crew is expanded to 2 for Motul, Petit, Le Mans. Everybody looking relaxed, Nick, or is there a little bit of tension from some of the teams? It's been so close in the prototypes.
It is remarkably relaxed. It is a 20-minute session or 50-minute session of just kind of having a bit of a look. You know, there's an interesting kind of a lot of the teams, a lot of the cars drives. It's just the driver himself. The teammates are happily ensconced back somewhere in the main paddock. So there's a lot of people just looking at their phones, waiting for it to happen. It's a lovely sunny afternoon. So the action, I'm sure, will kick off and be blisteringly quick in this session, and then they'll all sit down and think about it. Well, we've got 10 hours tomorrow and a warm-up, so yeah, look down. Yeah, it is very relaxed, John.
Shea Adam is at the other end of the pit lane, having just done that pole position interview for John Edwards rather, and the GT Le Mans pole sitter, and we're just waiting to release the prototypes. Shea, what can you tell us about who's in the cars at your end of pit lane?
Well, we've got Colin Brown in the 54 Core Autosport car going for the championship this weekend, and he just had to get out of the car for a moment. He actually flipped the windshield wipers, so I think cars are just waving at me in general today. The Minis did that earlier on in the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge race. Felipe Nasr is going to be qualifying the championship leading number 31 Whelen Engineering Cadillac, and his teammate Philippe Albuquerque going for pole position in the 5 Mustang sampling car. He looks really calm. Renger van de Zande started off the season at Daytona, stealing pole position away from Elio Castroneves in the 10, and he's getting a chance to bookend things, John.
I've been a bit further up and at the marvellous ESM pit. It's Norman Nato who's getting his chance to have a go at qualifying, first time here, and it's Pipo Durrani in the 22 car. So Norman, there's 2.
It's a bit more predictable, that one, isn't it?
Yes, in fact.
You've seen Norman race back in the
in lots
UK,
of things, yeah.
and in the European Championship. He is a bit of a star player, isn't he?
Oh, he's very good. And proving versatile, which is always interesting. Because a lot of the guy, the Frenchman with the is it Indonesian sponsors?
Yes.
For the a form of well-known chicken that isn't probably or originates not very far from here.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a quick guy. Done obviously F2 and everything else, and now looking to make his career in sports cars.
Yeah, and he has proved himself in things like LMP2s in the past, as well as doing single-seater racing, and he's clearly adapts very quickly indeed.
Yeah, 2-time winner in GP2. That's the final stepping stone to Formula 1. So he's shown his paces before, that's for sure.
Interesting that he's getting along so well so quickly with this particular form of racing. But what that does say is exactly how performance orientated these DPIs are, and just how like single seaters they are underneath. Effectively, if you think of a Formula car with all-encompassing bodywork, you're not that far off when you think of these cars. Nick's got some more qualifying drivers for us.
It's Ollie Jarvis in the 77 Mazda, and I'll be honest with you, my helmet recognition is not accurate enough to tell you whether it's Jonathan Bomarito or Spencer Piggott, but it's definitely not Marino because it's not his helmet.
I think it'd be J-Bomb.
As the regular guy, I'm pretty sure it will be, but I don't want to falsely promise something doesn't deliver.
It's J-Bomb, we've been told.
No, the engines are now firing up, so they will roll slowly out and hope to make a massive impression over the next 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Now let's see who goes out and when. Was that everybody we covered there? Near enough, I think. Our Continental Tire pit lane reporters take a little breather as we wait for the green flag.
So fastest lap of the weekend so far was set this morning by Oliver Jarvis, number 77 Mazda Team Yost entry. That was a 1:10.786. The lap record was at 1:11.314. That was by Elio Castroneves last year in the Orica Gibson Global P2 car. So that's going to get annihilated, I think. The question is, how low in the 10s can they get? If they do a 10.3, they're knocking on the door of a 130 mile an hour average lap.
Road Atlanta is the home of the Motul Petit Le Mans, the final round of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship for 2018. a race that you'll be able to hear and see in its entirety on the IMSA network of broadcasts, IMSA Radio and IMSA TV, and on the player, of course, at radiolemans.com. If you're in the US, it's on Fox Sports. Outside of America, then you get the full international feed on the IMSA app. Green flag has been waved, and there's takers immediately as they stream out of the pit lane. Not everybody by any stretch of the imagination. Lovely burnout by the number 38 Orica, getting up to speed. That red, white and silver Orica just heading out. Nick Damon still got a few at his end. Shear's end and pit out is completely clear. So these guys now, Jeremy, have to find themselves a little bit of track room. Amazing, the 2.5 miles, they've all got out at the same time.
Yeah, because I think the tyres are good. They are consistent. They can turn good laps for as long as they like, and the farther they go, the less fuel there is in the fuel tank. Is there anybody going to go out there just on a minimal fuel and try and get the best out of the tyres very, very early on? I don't know. We'll see. The more rubber gets laid down, the faster they likely will go, because we just had the Michelin cars out there rather than the Continentals on which these prototype cars will run. This is going to be a really, really interesting session.
Paul Murray in the broadcast centre with us, and before this starts getting very serious, first of all, well, good to see you again.
Thank you, John. Jeremy, good to be here.
Welcome back to the broadcast centre. Mazda team Yoast's coming to the end of their first full season of competition with the Mazda prototype. A win this weekend would be rather lovely, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be a great way to cap off this year. We've got very close on a couple of occasions. We haven't managed to put a W in the column, or put a check in the W column yet. But a couple of races we got awfully close, and of course the last time out at WeatherTech race that one was in the bag, but for getting caught up with back markers and then spun us around.
Now, what do you take out of that? It would be easy to be frustrated and down by that, but the upside of it is you were in position to win a race. It doesn't get that W, but the performance was there. Do you have to look at the glass half full side of that equation?
Well, to illustrate how the team feels about that, I talked to John Doonan, the director of motorsports for Mazda, that evening after the first time I saw him after that race, and I said, "How you doing?" And he goes, "How am I doing?" He said, "I couldn't be happier. Yes, we missed out on the win, but look at the performance we put. Harry Tignell was absolutely incredible that day. Lap after lap after lap, he was a second or more up on the field and was pulling away. And there was one moment of impatience, and it wasn't a mistake. It was just a slight moment of impatience that cost us that race. So for the team to be in that position, pulling away from the field, lapping like that, it's a very, very big step for us. And remember, the level of competition in this series this year is way higher than it was last year. So we're we'd love to have a W, and hopefully this weekend we can do that. But we're happy with where the program is going and how competitive we've been.
Got an extra IMSA event at the end of the season that has a Mazda component as well, because at the Encore at Sebring in November, we're going to welcome back some MX-5 racing, always one of my favourite things to look at.
Yeah, MX-5 racing is awesome. We just concluded the championship season, 12 races, and over the course of the 12 races there were, and I don't remember the number exactly, but 2,470 something passes in position on track over 12 races. And these are only 45-minute races. MX-5 Cup, Battery Tender MX-5 Cup racing is absolutely the most incredible racing. Through the whole season last year, 12 races, the combined margin of victory was less than 5 seconds. So we're going to bring, right now we have 28 entries for those two races down at that Encore event in Sebring. And let them loose. There's several drivers from overseas coming over. There's a couple of Japanese drivers joining us, as well as the regulars from the series. And that looks to be, as I said to somebody earlier, it looks to be a bag of laughs. And that expression took some explaining.
Yes, I'm sure it did. More thanks for being with us. Enjoy the rest of this session. We're starting to get some fast times coming in now with almost 5 minutes done. Philippe Albuquerque with an 11.5 at the top. Philippe Nasser was the fastest one quick. Oh, and a problem for one of the Mazdas at turn 5, and it's the 55 at turn 5. That's got is at the wheel of the 55.
Bommarito.
Did we say Bommarito? Yes, he is. He's rolling, trying to roll the car down out of the way. So has he got no drive on that car? 52's off as well. Oh my goodness, the rhubarb and custard arrow sponsored number 52 prototype with Jose Gutierrez at the wheel. That's at the top of the hill at turn 2 and 3. Now he's managed to get drive and move forward. Yeah, turn 5 for 55, J-Bomb definitely confirmed. So people throwing themselves at the scenery, Jeremy, and I mean, generally speaking, the prototype driver's been very... Oh dear. Gutierrez getting in the way there of the Mustang sampling car as he was weaving left and right. Philippe Albuquerque will not be happy. Good news for Moore, who's standing with us, is that Jonathan Bommarito has done the Control-Alt-Delete and got that car going again. And so, effectively no harm, no foul. He rolled it back out the way. Now, he wasn't under power, so that's not going wrong direction. And what he was doing was making sure they didn't have to stop the session. So, it's actually quite considerate.
There's Pipo Derani on a slowdown lap. He's just gone to the top of the charts with a 1:10.840, half a second underneath Helio Castroneves' lap record. Felipe Nasser in second place in car number 31. Simon Trummer, really good job to be third fastest in car number 85. Just ahead of Colin Brown.
Stand back from the fence. Pipo Derani's going for another one. He's through turn number 1 now. It always amazes me, Jeremy, how those guys can do, the really top guys can do that slow down lap, gather themselves back up, and then 2 corners or a corner before the end of the lap, they just flip the switch and they're right back on it. They're not building up to it as you or I might do. It's on it, and it's on it immediately. Fantastic stuff by Derani.
Keeping off the curbs there, really tidy lap through turn, down through the S's, up through turn 5. And again, using all the road, a little bit of a sideways slider as he got it in under braking for turn 7. It's going to cost him a little bit of momentum coming out of the straight, or is it? Was he able to just hook it up and carry that speed off the corner? We will see momentarily.
Final race for the Patron colours with ESM.
Oliver Jarvis at 10.764.
Wow.
Car number 77.
That's very, very fast indeed, and brings a smile to Maurice Lips alongside us here. Ollie Jarvis, remarkably not been to Road Atlanta before the test earlier on this year for Master Team Yost.
Pipo Derani responds 1:10.635 for Pipo Derani, car number 22.
We have a battle. The Pipo has been unleashed, and Ollie J needs to find something else. Philippe Albuquerque joining the party in the number 5 Mustang sampling Cadillac after being slightly delayed by Jose Gutierrez last time around. Top 3 separated by just on 0.3 of a second. Nominato as well in the second of the ESM cars, carrying the Patron colours for the final time. That's another great partnership and great servant of motorsport that we'll wave goodbye to and thank a lot at the end of this one. Albuquerque then, in fact, down to 4th as Nato comes into 3rd now in the number 2 car. So ESM 1st and 3rd, and Ollie Jarvis, the Mazda meat in the sandwich.
That was a slow lap for Jarvis. They're setting up now for another quick one.
Still 6.5 minutes to go, Jeremy. There's plenty of time here.
Yeah, there's plenty of time, no question about that. Pipo Derani's on an absolute fly though. He's got purple in sectors 1 and 2.
He's something else, isn't he? Moving on next year, of course, that's already been announced.
He did go faster. He wasn't as quick through sector 3 as he was before, but it is an improvement for Derani. 1:10.437.
What are we going to get down to? We're not going to get a low 10. What did you say we had to do for the
10.33? I think it was
10.33, and that's a what lap?
130 miles an hour average.
30 mile an hour average in these prototypes.
Yeah,
10.338.
I think better than that. He's a 1/10 of a second away from that.
I think that's going to go. If there's a bit of life left in the tyres.
Ricky Taylor's on the good one. He's gone purple in sector 1, but losing a little bit of time in the middle and particularly the final sector there. It was a personal best final sector, but somewhere down on the quickest ones in the number 7 Acura. He's down in 9th position and 1:11.0. We've got 10 cars underneath the track record, not including Colin Brown, who's on the better lap now in 11th place.
looks like Durrani's either on his way in the pits or on another slowed down lap. The key is on the slowed down lap not to get too much pickup on the tyres, and if you're driving offline, that's difficult. It does look, the body language of Ricky Taylor's number 7 Acura Team Penske car looks rather rapid. He's on the back straight at the moment. Nobody ahead of him, nobody behind him. Found a nice clear piece of track. Can he stretch the legs of the Acura?
Durrani in the pits.
Okay, so no more from people.
Van der Zander's in the pits. He's only 12th position. This is a surprise.
That's for the
Jonathan Bomarito up to 4th place in car number 55, the Mazda. 1 minute 10.793, so we've got 3 cars on 1 minute 10.7. Jarvis in number 77, Nato number 2, and John Bomarito number 55.
Is that an improvement for Ricky Taylor? Yes, it was. 5th place.
Yep.
And he's going straight for another one because he's got clear track ahead of him. We've been told that by the team. Maybe a little greedy over the top of 1 into 2. Slightly riding the curb.
Jarvis improves a 10.561 for car number 77.
That's a 10th away from pole position, a front row start. Nato in the pit lane. He'll be no better than 3rd position. Purple for Ricky Taylor. That means the best time. Our Penske coming good right at the end of this session. 3.5 minutes to go. He's out of 7. He's hooked it up beautifully through there. Rode just the right amount of curb. Not a soul in front or behind him again. He's found the gap. Penske have got him out at exactly the right time on the circuit. 3.5 minutes to go. And once again, the Penske magic coming to play at Road Atlanta through the left and right of turns 10A and B under the Fox Factory Bridge. Now diving down to the final corner. Crosses the line. What does he stop the clock at? And doesn't improve. Yes, he does. He goes up 1 position. 1 position. Down to a 10.7.
Yeah, ahead of Bomarito. So Jarvis is at 10.5 in 2nd place. And Nato, Ricky Taylor, Jonathan Bomarito, all at 1 minute 10.7.
Ricky Taylor leaving nothing out on the circuit. Now Jonathan Bomarito picking up the pace as well, Jeremy, yeah.
He's gone purple in Sector 1 by just mere fractions over Pipo Durrani, but it's purple it is. Another good lap here for Jonathan Bomarito. Can he complete this lap?
So just having been bumped down to 5th position, the 55, which remember was stopped on the circuit at the start of this heart-in-mouth time for Mazda Team Yost, back on the box in the pit lane. The distinctive sort of red crystal colour that we've become so used to seeing on the Works Mazdas. Both the Nissans now in the pits. 2 minutes to go. Here comes Bomarito. Does he improve? Yes, he does. He's on the inside of row 2. 3rd position for the 55. Mazda's 2nd and 3rd, Jeremy.
Yeah, 1 minute 10.6 for Bomarito, 10.4 for Durrani, 10.5 for Jarvis, 10.6 for Bomarito, 10.7 for Nato and Ricky Taylor.
Ricky Taylor in the pit lane in the number 7. Acura Team Penske. Bomarito dropping the Continentals on the left-hand side of the car into the dirt at turn 2, but somehow he got away with it and he's still pushing.
11 cars underneath the old lap record.
Wow. He's lost a couple of tenths in that 1st sector, but can he make it up somewhere else? Well, he needs to find, what, half a tenth or thereabouts to get onto the front row. That would push back his teammate, of course.
Yeah, across the 1st sector there, a couple of tenths, and I think it's lifted off, hasn't it? I don't think it's on a quick lap here.
Will he go for one more? He's got time. He has got time for one more.
Yep.
Gather yourself up. Ollie Jarvis still out there as well.
And he's just gone personal best in Sector 1. It's actually fractionally quicker than Durrani's best.
And he's now coming out of turn 7, so this isn't over. Less than a minute to go. Did I see the Mazda come in? Yes, I did. No, Bomarito continues. He's gone through. Thank you, Mo.
13.7 that lap, so just cooling the tires just a little bit. Jarvis coming down the hill now towards the chicane. 26.2.
3 tenths away in the middle sector.
Yeah.
Now comes to the final corner. He's got one more if he wants it. Bomarito, fastest 1st sector again. This time he's found the limit perfectly. As Ollie Jarvis didn't improve, but he'll have another go.
Yeah.
Use the time.
It was a 10.6 again that lap. 10.643 is best. A 10.561.
They are pass, using so much of the exit on turn 2 there. Now, where's Jonathan Bomarito? 26.2. Can't get anywhere near to Durrani's time in the middle sector as the checkered flag is out there. It's the two Masters who are still out there who are competing. Through goes Gutierrez to see the checkered flag doesn't improve. Also out there was the 55J Bob improved,
yes,
but not his position. A 1:10.600. We're going to have 3 cars within a 10.5 or so, aren't we?
Yeah, great effort. That was a fun qualifying session. But Jonathan Jarvis isn't going to improve on this lap. I think
No, he's lifted off. He's lifted off, Jeremy. That's the engine noise that you can hear behind.
Yep. But 11 cars inside 3/4 of a second, and all of them well inside the existing lap record set just 1 year ago by Elio Castroneves.
So before we hear from the pole sitter Durrani, let's hear from his team boss, Scott Sharp. He must be a very happy man. Nick Damon.
I think Scott Sharp is a very happy man.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been awfully close. Obviously, you know, we had a great run last night in night practice, but today, earlier in the session, it was a 10th or 10th and a half, covered like 6 or 7 cars. So anybody could probably, we felt, get the pole, and Pipo, you know, did what Pipo does and pulled out a really great lap. So it was, you know, hats off to the entire team. Great effort. Norman, you know, just showed up here for the first time ever yesterday. Never driven a Ligier, never driven Road Atlanta, so he's did a great job too. He's 4th. So long race to go, but great way to start.
Scott, fabulous. Thank you.
Second pole position of the season for Durrani. He's also on the pole in Detroit.
Mo Murray was watching that. Second and third for Mazda. Team Yost, would you, I mean, if I'd offered you that 15 minutes ago, would you take that?
Absolutely, we would take that, absolutely, especially when we're second and third to Pipo Derani, one of the fastest drivers in the world.
He's something special, isn't he?
He is very special, but I have to say, with the Mazda programs with Ollie Jarvis and Bob Marito, man, he just keeps digging and getting better and better and better. So we're very happy with second and third. It's a 10-hour race. Starting at the front is important in every race, but 10 hours. What I noticed in that session, and which I think is perhaps more important to me, is the consistency of running 1 minute 10-second laps.
Yes.
And that's what will pay dividends tomorrow.
Yeah, through the traffic, that's going to be a little bit harder, obviously, but the pace is clearly there in the Mazda. Thanks for joining us, Mo. Always good to see you.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Be safe down there, Mazda team. Yours. Pass on the best to Ralph and the rest of the team. And with perfect timing, Pipo Derani not only takes pole position, but rolls up to Shea Adam, who removes her I Respect sunglasses. And she's standing in the shade at the moment and brings us this Continental Tire pit lane report. Pole position for the 2018 Motul Petit Le Mans goes to ESM Tequila Patron, their Nismo powered prototype. And once again, the boy from Brazil has done it. Pipo Derani is pole and will lead them round to the green flag on Saturday.
Congrats, Pipo. 3rd career pole position, 2nd of the season, and you're picking up exactly where you guys left off at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, where you got a win. This is the perfect place to start from, and what a thank you to the whole Tequila Patron ESM crew.
Absolutely, you know, it's been 3 emotional years with them since joining the team in 2016, and obviously we still have the race to go that I would love to win after last year, but you know, what a way to start this weekend. It's been, like I said, very, very emotional. This is not an easy weekend for us because I'm leaving the team, Patron as well, and what an amazing sponsor they have been for 13, 14 years. So I'm really proud that I was able to be part of this group. Obviously there's new challenges coming, but this one last race is so special, and to be able to put it on pole just show that this team has something really, really special. Apart from our difficult times, which every team has, the best thing that will stay is the memories, which are great. So the memories, the friendships, and obviously those amazing moments like the one today. So I'm really, really happy, and a big thank you for my entire team.
And also the last pole position on Continental tires. So that's something else that your name will go in the record book next to. How important is it going to be tomorrow to have the optimum line going into turn 1?
You know, this place is such a difficult track to pass that is really important. Just, you know, any race to start at front makes your life easier. I've said this before at Detroit, and here is the same, you know. When you have the chance to start up front, makes your the entire team lives easier. And for my teammates, for myself, last year we started on the first row, P2. We managed to lead at the end of the first lap, which was an amazing feeling. But today, one place better. Hopefully we can capitalize on everything like we did today in quali and have a clean race. It's not going to be an easy one, as we know. Petit is it's an amazing, tough race, but a very rewardful one if you go through it clean and have a nice race. So hopefully that's our case tomorrow.
This is a great birthday present as well. Happy birthday, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
With Dr. Ralf Juttner from Mazda Team Yost, this is a major breakthrough for the team, would you say?
Oh yes, we are delighted. Obviously we would have taken pole. It was very tight. Jonathan and Ollie gave everything. Just 1/10 was missing. But it's by far our best qualifying result we had all season, and we are really happy with it. In the past season, we have been much better in the race than in qualifying. If that continues, then it could be quite a good race tomorrow for us.
It must be very pleasing for you that it wasn't just one quick lap, it was quick lap after quick lap after quick lap. The car must be consistent.
It is. The drivers are pretty happy, have been all weekend up to now. We've worked very constructive in terms of setup. I hope that what we have seen this season, that the car is good to the tires, which enables to do a few laps in a row, continues here as well. And then we should be in a good shape. But congratulations to Nissan for the pole position. But as I said, I'm very delighted, especially after Jonathan had a pretty difficult start into this qualifying session. To come back like this was a really tough job, and he did it brilliantly.
You've obviously sat there and crunched the numbers. Ralf, you've probably gone, yeah. What do you think the race pace is going to be? Is it going to be as close as we saw in night practice yesterday?
All the sessions have been very close. So I'm convinced, as I usually say, I would like to be a spectator tomorrow. To be honest, it should be a very close one.
Thanks, Ralf. Fantastic. Thank you. Well done. Congratulations, Mazda.
Thank you to Nick Dearman and Shea Adam. That sets it up beautifully. Nissan from Mazda, from Nissan, from Acura, the Japanese brands at the front of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship from Motul, Petit, Le Mans, GTLM, BMW on pole, and in GT Daytona, it's Ferrari. We'll have it all live for you. Warm up, then the big Fittipaldi interview, then the whole of the race on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. Bye-bye.